Not sure if everyone has a mat. If you don't, that's cool. Maybe just find a blanket. If you're on tile or on carpet's fine too. Just remove your socks if you have them, so you just have some traction. You're not going to be sliding around too much. And then if you do have like a pillow or a blanket handy, might be helpful too, but no worries if you don't, just a minor prop there you might need. So, all right, so we will get started. The practice today, I planned about 40-45 minutes or so, just as our first go around, and then we can see how it goes from there. Appreciate any feedback you guys have or things that you might want to do in the future. So, all right, so we will get started down on our backs. So just come down, bend your knees. Leave your feet about hips distance apart. And then just place your hands on your belly. And if you want, you can close your eyes. We're just gonna start to deepen our breath a little bit here. So breathing is always a very big part of yoga, but this can also be a big part of your sports performance training as well. So breathing right can really enhance your performance. So just start to deepen your breath. So maybe as you're inhaling, count 2, 3, or 4 in your head, and really imagine that you should be able to feel your belly rise up into your palms, sitting on your belly here, as you inhale. And then as you exhale, the belly contracts and it draws down towards the floor. So you should be able to feel that with your breath. Inhale, belly rises up into your palms. And exhale, belly falls down. It's almost like you have a balloon in your tummy and it's expanding and contracting. You shouldn't have a lot of movement up in the chest. It should all be coming from the belly. It's just maybe a little bit of lift in the chest at the very end. So inhaling, 1, 2, 3. Exhaling, 3, 2, 1. Inhaling, 1, 2, 3. Exhaling, 3, 2, 1. And take about 2 more rounds with your own breath rhythm. It might be a little shorter, a little longer. All right, so now we're going to roll over onto your side, and this is where you may want a little pillow if you want, or a blanket just underneath your head here. You're going to bend your knees so they're at a 90-degree angle, so your knees are straight out from your hips, and then you're going to take your arms also straight out from your shoulders and just stack your palms here like alligator mouth here. And then as we inhale, we're going to reach that top hand up to the sky. And then as you exhale, you're going to take that hand behind you, back to the floor behind you, so the back of your hand comes down towards the floor. If you don't make it all the way down there, totally cool. And then as we inhale, the hand comes back up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, so your palms touch. And we'll take that a few more rounds. So inhale, reach up to the sky. Exhale, drop it behind. Inhale, reach it up. And exhale, close. And one more time, inhale, reach. Exhale, take it back. Inhale, reach up. And exhale to close. So now I'm going to take that on the other side, so just roll over back onto your back. I'm going to switch sides, I can still see you. So again, come down on the opposite side, knees 90 degrees. Again, if you need a little prop underneath your neck, don't feel any tweaks there. Stack the arms here, palms touch, and then inhale, reach up to the sky, and then exhale, let that hand gently drop back to the floor behind you, and your head, your gaze follows your palm here. So inhale, reach back up. Exhale, close your alligator mouth. Inhale, reach gaze follows your thumb, and exhale, take it back. Inhale, reach it up. Exhale, close. And one more time, inhale, reach. Exhale, behind. Inhale, reach. And exhale, close. All right, now just roll back onto your backs, bending your knees. And again here, feet about hips distance apart. Take your ankles so they're about underneath your knees. And just relax your hands at your side. And we're just gonna open up the shoulders a little bit here. So inhale, reach your hands up towards the ceiling, and then exhale, take the backs of the hands to the floor behind you. And then inhale it back. Back to your starting position, palms down to the floor by your hips. We'll take that just a few more times. You can take it at your own rhythm. So inhale, reach, up and behind, and then exhale, draw it back. And keep it going, inhale, up and over. So anything that we do today, the general rule, exhale, take it back, is if it doesn't feel good, don't do it. So if you feel any impingement here in the shoulder or anything, just stop what you're doing, just chill out on your mat. And everything, to just take it at your own pace. And if you get to a point where you just want to chill on your mat like this, feel free. All right, so now we're going to add on to this movement. So we're going to keep the same arms, but we're also going to lift the hips. So begin to press your heels into the floor. When you do that, your tailbone should start to curl up, and then continue pressing into the heels, let your tailbone curl and lift up off the floor. Then the rest of your hips come up towards the sky, and then you can reach those arms overhead like we were just doing. So coming up into a bridge pose here, and then exhale, hips slowly come down and your arms come down as well, back to that starting position. So inhale, press into the heels, lift the hips. So you're engaging your glutes here, maybe waking them up if we've been sitting around too much. And then exhale, take it back. Inhale, reach it up and over. And exhale back. Let's do 2 more rounds. Inhale up. Exhale down. And last one, inhale, reach. And exhale down. Okay. So now just hug your knees into your chest. If it feels good, you can kind of give yourself a little rock side to side. I love how this feels on my lower back. And then just take your hands behind your thighs. So a couple options, we're gonna just come up to seated. So you can just roll over onto your side and roll up. I like to, what I call rock and roll. So we're just gonna rock forward and back along your spine from the tailbone up between your shoulders. Gives your back a nice little massage. And then when you're ready, cross your ankles and come up to seated. All right, so now we're gonna come over on the hands and knees, just flip around. And stack your shoulders, or your wrists under your shoulders here, and your knees are hip distance apart. So we also call this tabletop position. This is also just a place you can come to at any time during our practice today. If something doesn't feel good, you can just come chill here. So we're just gonna take some bird dogs. So inhale, reach your right leg straight back. Let's start with leaving our toes on the floor here, and just press back through your heel. It's gonna give you a little bit of a calf stretch. Pressing back through that heel. And then you're just gonna engage your right glute a little bit here, and then just lift that leg about parallel with your hip, maybe even a little bit lower is fine too. And you're just gonna check in. You're trying to keep your hips flat. So just imagine you have like a little glass of milk or something resting on your sacrum here, base of your hips, and you're trying not to spill it. So you don't want your hips kind of jumping up or down there. So just straight out. And then if that feels good, add a little balance challenge here. Reach your left arm straight out in front with your thumb up to the sky. Draw your navel up to the spine, so that's engaging your core, that's going to protect your back here. And then just breathe deeply. And then one more breath in. And exhale. Take it back to your starting position, and we'll take the other side. So just reach your left foot straight back, toes on the floor, and just press your heel, left heel back. Little calf stretch. And then when you're ready, just engaging that left glute a little bit, lift the leg. Again, keeping it nice and parallel. Hips are even here. Imagine that glass of milk. And then if you want, inhale your right hand straight out in front and just reach through those fingertips and then press back through the left heel. So you're getting nice and long. Again, your navel, your belly's drawing up to the spine. So you're engaging your core, you're getting nice and solid. And then exhale, take it back. All right, then just take your toes together here. Let your hips sink back into your heels. If it's comfortable, then walk your hands out in front and just let your forehead come down to the floor. So this is child's pose. If it doesn't feel good, you can try a couple different things. You can put pillows under your forehead. You can keep your hips just up high. And you can also take pillows and put them behind the knees. So just depending on how your knees are feeling and your quads, you might try a couple different things here. This is one of my favorite stretches. So it's one I like to come to multiple times a day. So, all right, so just take a few breaths here. And then we're going to begin to lift up. Separate your toes back to hips distance. And then walk your hands maybe about a hand length out in front. Step your left leg back and then your right leg back. So you're going to come into a plank position. So making sure your shoulders are over your wrists. And you're in a nice long line. Press back through your heels. If that's a little too much, just take those knees to the floor. And take a deep breath in here. We're going to exhale. Begin to bend your knees. Press through your hands. Lift your hips up and back into the sky for downward facing dog. So you can really bend your knees as much as you need to here. You're trying to get your shoulders back, kind of down towards the floor, back towards your thighs. And just press the earth away with your hands. And then if it feels good, you can pedal your feet. So then alternate knees here. And then just get some length again in the back of the calves. Walking it out. And then maybe bringing it back into the center. Inhale up onto your tippy toes. And then exhale, bend your knees a little bit as you let those heels come down to the floor. So try that again. Inhale, up onto the tippy toes. Exhale, heels back. And then bend your knees deeply here and just take baby steps up to the front of your mat and forward towards your hands. And just bend your knees really deeply here. You know, we're not worried about touching our toes, just wherever you are. And then feel like you're pressing into your outer heels. And we're going to inhale our arms forward and up. Reach your hands overhead. And then exhale, just bring your hands to meet at your heart. Hopefully you guys can't hear Gunner out there whining. That's my dog. Inhale, hands up overhead. And then exhale, bring your hands together. We're going to hinge at our hips, bend your knees a little bit here and fold forward. So again, don't worry about straight legs here. Bend the knees as much as you like to. And hands come to the front of the shins or even the thighs. You're going to inhale and just straighten out the back. So you're coming about halfway up. Your shoulders drift a little back. You reach the crown of the head towards the front of your mat. And then exhale, fold it down, release. Again, bending those knees as much as you need to. Then we're gonna bend the knees deeply, plant the hands, step the left foot straight back. So you're coming into like a low lunge position. And then go ahead and drop your left knee down. Leave your toes tucked if that's comfortable. And then take your hands to your thigh and come on up. So you're about a 90 position with the knee and the hip. And again, if this is too much of a stretch with the toes tucked, you can flatten it out. But with you guys running around a lot, I would recommend maybe trying to keep it tucked so we can open up that front of the hip a little bit more. And if this is too much on the knee, put that little blanket or pillow underneath the knee, depending on what kind of surface you're on. All right, so inhale, both arms overhead. You can stay here. If you want a little bit more, reach your hands just a little bit over to the right. So that's just gonna get a little bit more into that left side body and a little bit more into that left hip. And inhale back to center. Exhale, bring your hands into your heart. Take a breath in. On your exhale, you're gonna take your left elbow and bring it around to your right knee. And just kind of draw your belly in here. And then just begin to turn and look over your right shoulder. So just a nice little twist here. If you feel a little rocky, just pretend like you're kind of squeezing those inner thighs together. And then inhale back to center. Exhale, take your hands down. Lift the knees, step back to plank pose. Again, here, always the option to drop to the knees. Take a breath in. Exhale, lift your hips up and back. Again, bending the knees as much as you need to. And then bending the knees, look forward and walk up to your hands. And again, pressing into your outer heels, we're gonna inhale the arms forward and up. And exhale down. And inhale your arms overhead. Exhale, palms together, hinge and fold forward. Again, we're gonna inhale halfway up, so hands come to the shins, and just find a long, neutral spine position. And exhale, fold it down, bend your knees as much as you need. And then bend your knees deeply, plant your hands. Step your right leg straight back to that low lunge. And lower right knee to the floor. And inhale your hands up to your front thigh. So again, here, option, if you want to flatten out the toes here or leave them tucked. And then inhale, both arms overhead. On your exhale, maybe tilt a little bit over to the left. You can feel that probably a little bit more in the front of the hip and the side body here. Inhale back to center, exhale your hands back into your chest. And take a deep breath in. Exhale again, we'll find that twist, so take your right elbow down to your left thigh or knee, and then begin to twist towards your hands and look out over that left shoulder. All right, inhale it back to center. Exhale, take the hands down. Again, we're gonna step back, find that plank pose. Make sure your butt's not up in the air here. Make a nice long line. Deep breath in. Exhale, lift those hips up and back. Find your downward facing dog. And then bend your knees, look forward, gently walk to the front of your mat. Press into those outer heels again. And we'll inhale, rise up to standing. And exhale your hands into your chest. All right, so now we're going to just make sure your feet are about hips distance apart. Let's inhale our arms overhead. And then you can leave this here if your shoulders are a little tight. You might want to leave your hands separated here, or you can take your right hand and grab your left wrist. And then just inhale, reach up to the ceiling, just get really long. And then exhale your hands to the right. And your left hip kind of juts out to the left, that's fine. And just keep framing your ears here. Try not to fall like too far forward. Just stay in that same plane of motion. Inhale back to center and then switch the wrists if you have them. Inhale, reach up to the ceiling. Exhale, hands to the left. Again, keep framing your ears. Keep breathing. Inhale back to center. Exhale, release. All right, if you haven't already, turn to face, if you have a mat, face the long side of your mat. And we're just gonna step our feet nice and wide. And so if you put your hands out about shoulder height, your ankles should be about under your wrist. That's about how far out we want to be. But again, if that's not comfortable, feel free to adjust. And then our toes are going to be in line with our heels, so we're not having our toes pointing out to the edges of our mat, but they're pointing straight forward. All right, so from here, let's take our right toes and turn them towards the short end of your mat. All right, inhale your arms out to shoulder height, and then exhale, bend your right knee. And that right knee is just gonna direct out about over your middle toe. We don't wanna extend too far out over the toe. Your knee's about over the ankle. And then just take your gaze out over your right fingertips. Gently kind of draw your shoulder blades together so you're nice and open here through the chest. And then on your inhale, straighten the leg, that front knee, and reach your hands up to the ceiling. And then exhale, you're gonna flip the palms and take it back to your starting position. So this is warrior two. We're gonna inhale, reach the arms up, straighten the knee. Exhale, take it back, warrior two. Inhale, take it up. And exhale, take it back. Hold here in warrior two. Take a deep breath in here. On your exhale, you're gonna take your right elbow down to your right thigh. And just take your left hand and just let it sit on your hip here. And then you really just kind of want to make sure your chest isn't folding down towards the floor. You want to try and keep it lifted and kind of just facing the wall that's in front of you. You should maybe be feeling a little bit of stretch here in your left side. So you can stay here. If you want to, you can reach your left arm up to the sky. Couple breaths here. Just watch that knee, make sure it's not kind of collapsing in, it's still nice and stable, directing towards your middle toe. And then inhale back to warrior two. And then go ahead and release the arms, straighten the leg, turn the toes back in. All right, before we go to the other side, let's take the toes out and then the heels are in. Take a deep breath in. On your exhale, just bend your knees and just let your hands rest on top of your thighs here. And then we're just gonna add a little twist here. So just before we do that, make sure your weight's kind of back in your heels. You're still sitting kind of straight up. You don't have to be like super deep, but just a nice kind of wide-legged squat here. Then take a deep breath in. On your exhale, you're gonna press your left hand into like your left inner thigh. Draw your left shoulder forward for a little twist. Look back over your right shoulder. Then inhale back to the center. And then exhale, now draw that right shoulder forward, press into your right thigh and twist. Inhale back to center. Go ahead and straighten the legs. And then switch your toes back to that starting position, nice and parallel. Toes in line with the heels. And then we'll go to the left side. So turn your left toes to the short edge of your mat. Inhale your arms out to shoulder height. Exhale, bend your left knee. Again, just checking that knee position here. Draw the shoulder blades a little together in the back. And then we'll add that little movement. So inhale, flip your palms both up to the sky. Exhale, bend the knee. Back to warrior two. Inhale, reach. Exhale, take it down. Inhale, reach, straighten the leg. Exhale, bend the knee. Hold it here. Take a nice deep breath in. Exhale that left elbow down to the left thigh. Right hand just kind of rests on your hip here. And again, if your chest is starting to collapse towards the floor, draw it up, point it towards the wall in front of you. And then maybe lift the right arm up to the sky. Just keep powering up through those legs and your feet. Keep them really connected to the floor here. And inhale back up to warrior two. And exhale, release the arms. Let's turn the toes back into the front. We're gonna stick with the toes being parallel this time. And we're gonna interlace, if it's comfortable, interlace the hands behind your back. So just interlace them, press the knuckles down towards the floor, round those shoulder blades open. If that's not comfortable, just hands to the hips. Let's take a deep breath in here, and just slightly look up. On your exhale, you're going to really connect those feet into the ground, hinge at your hips and just fold forward, let your arms draw overhead. So the crown of your head just points down towards the floor, release your neck, any tension there. And again, if this doesn't feel good on the shoulders, release that hand grip, take the hands down towards the floor. And it's okay to bend your knees a little bit here if that's a little too much on the legs. Again, releasing that head, maybe even shaking it yes and no, letting all that tension out of the neck. And then pressing through both feet, we're gonna inhale all the way back up to standing. All right, phew. Fix your hair. And just heel toe feet back together. We're about hips distance apart. And we're just gonna do, one more thing before we go down to the floor. We'll do some stuff there. So we're gonna go into a yogi squat. So depending on how open your hips are feeling, it may not. If it feels a little too much, I'll offer some modifications. So feet about hips distance apart, maybe a little bit wider. And it's okay to have your toes kind of direct out to the edges of your mat a little bit more again. And then just take your hands into your heart. Little prayer hands here. Take a deep breath in. And then on your exhale, you're just gonna bend the knees. So let the knees travel out towards the middle toe here. And just come down as far as is comfortable. You're trying to sink your hip bones, your sit bones, all the way down to the floor. And you can take your elbows inside the knees and just squat all the way down. If this is a little too much, totally cool. Just come, bring the feet in a little bit and just take a chair pose coming into center. So if you're coming into Malasana, full yogi squat, just come on down. Again, use your elbows to press those knees apart. And this feels really good on tight hips. Take a couple breaths here. They say in India, people sit and wait for the bus like this. So imagine that, sitting here for 10 minutes. We're not gonna do that. So, all right, one more breath in. And then on your exhale, we're gonna come down to seated. So depending on where you are, gently just kind of come down. All right, let me check. Oh yeah, we're gonna do one more thing of abs, then we'll go down onto our back. More stretching, So bend your knees, take your feet to touch. Just kind of feel your sit bones here. And start by taking your hands behind your thighs. And you guys may be familiar with this. We're just going to do a little boat pose. So start to engage your core here. Start to tilt back a little bit on the back edge of your sit bones. And then maybe just lift one toe off the floor, shin parallel to the mat. You can work there and start kind of alternating feet, or take both shins parallel. If you feel anything in the back or it's a little too much, take those hands to the floor behind you and you can just work here. So wherever you want to be, you can start to straighten the legs. You can float the hands. So just find where you want to work. And then exhale. Take it down and just fold over your knees here for a second. Take a breath. All right, so then we're going to come up. We're going to extend both of our legs out in front. And just find your sit bones. And then we're just going to bend our left knee and just draw that sole of the foot into your right inner thigh here. If your knee is like really popping up high, take your blanket or your pillow or whatever and put it underneath the knee so it has a little support. And then flex your right toes so they're up to the ceiling. And then you're going to inhale your arms overhead. And just make sure your torso is kind of framing up over that extended leg. So you are in a little bit of a twist here. So get long. And then exhale, reach towards your toes, but don't worry about touching them. We're just going to reach until you kind of feel that point of resistance as far as you can go. And then keep your torso there and then just drop the hands. So wherever they might meet, your thigh, your knee, your shin, your toes, doesn't really matter. And just hold it here. All right, and gently bring your hands to the floor, walk it back up, and then we'll switch out the legs. So stand your left leg, bend your right knee, sole of the foot into the inner thigh. And again, if you need a little prop under that knee, if it's popping up, put that pillow there, and left toes up to the sky, and then inhale your arms up. Again, frame yourself over that extended leg. Exhale, reach it forward. As far as you can go, keep a long spine here. You don't want to round and kind of fold over the legs. You're keeping yourself nice and long. And then just release the arms. Keep the length in the spine. Gunner's guarding the gym. All right, inhale, take it up. Remove the block. And we're gonna come down onto our back. So we're almost done. A couple more poses here. So come down with bent knees to start. And then just extend your left leg all the way down onto the mat. And then bend your right knee and draw it in towards your belly. And maybe even over towards the ribs. Flex both of your feet here. So both toes, flex them up to the sky. Gives you a little bit more active stretch here. And just continue to draw that right knee up towards your armpit. And you're still kind of actively pressing that left heel away. And those nice deep belly breaths that we did at the beginning, we're using those here. Letting the belly rise and fall. And then on your next exhale, you can release that right knee. Send that right leg down onto the mat, stretch it out. And then we'll draw the left knee in. So wrap your hands around the shin, draw the knee in towards the belly, flex both feet here again. And then continue to draw that knee maybe up along the ribs, up towards your left armpit. You're actively pressing that right heel away. Couple more deep breaths here. I should have told you guys to put some nice relaxing music on the background. I'm not allowed to play anything here out over the internet, so. All right, and exhale, release the knees, send that leg all the way onto the floor. And then we're gonna inhale both arms overhead again. And if you imagine the shape of a banana, right? So we're doing this pose, it's called banana asana. So that gives you an idea of the shape we're moving into. So we're just gonna walk our feet over to the right. So begin to feel a little stretch on the left side. And then do the same thing with the arms without spilling water or knocking anything over. Walk your arms over to the right too. So you're making like a half moon or that banana shape here. Trying to keep both hips still on the floor. Reach up and away with that left hand, still keeping it on the floor. If you want a little bit more, you can cross your left foot over your right ankle. So this is another nice way to stretch out the hip flexors and that side body. Sometimes get really tight if we're doing a lot in one plane of motion or sitting a lot. So again, breathing nice and deep here. And uncross the feet, walk everything back to the center, and then take it to the other side. So walking the feet over to the left, walk the hands over to the left, making that half moon banana shape. And if you want a little more, maybe the right ankle crosses over left. And just keep reaching with the hands up and overhead. And then uncross the feet, walk everything back to center. And then you can bring the hands back alongside the hips. Let's bend the knees and hug the knees into the chest again. Again, if you want to take a little shift side to side, or you can take your hands on your knees and just make little circles on the ceiling. That feels good too. And just hug it in. And take your feet back to the floor. So that is the end of our practice. So that was about 40-45 minutes. I figured that would be a good test ride for us to see how it goes and kind of what we want to do in the future. So when you come up, just gently come up, come off to the side. Don't rush to stand up or anything. I don't want you guys getting dizzy. So thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. Say hi, Gunnar. Ah, here.